Okay, this is part 3, Unit 4D, looking at loans, payments, credit cards, and mortgages. And we finished off by finding the payment amounts for two different loans, one 30-year loan at an APR of 8%, one 15-year loan at 7%. Both of these were originally $150,000. And we've got $1,100.65 for the 30-year loan, and we've got $1,348.24 for the 15-year loan. And so if we want to compare the two, so for our 30-year loan, the total amount that we would pay over the duration of the loan, so we would take our monthly payment, we would times it by 12 payments per year over 30 years, and we would get that you paid $396,234 even over the 30-year span, which is a lot. I mean, you can see how much you paid in interest. Just subtract $150,000 from that. So that's a lot of money. But again, it was over a 30-year period of time, and that's a big risk for the bank, and so they're looking to get a return on their risky investment. Now, in the 15-year loan, the total amount that you spent was your monthly payment times 12, this time over 15 years, and this gives us $242,683.20. So you can see, if you compare the two numbers, both were a $150,000 loan, you can see there's a huge savings when you go with the 15-year versus the 30-year. One, because of the APR, you're a full percent lower in this case. But two is you only had to make, well, you had to make half the payments. And so even though you paid more per month, you only had to make half the payments. And so, you know, some of the advantages, disadvantages. So a pro or an advantage of the 30-year loan is you have a lower monthly payment. So if you're just trying to get into the housing market, $1,100 per month is easier to pay than $1,348. So that's a pro of that loan. Definitely a con for that, or a disadvantage, is you paid a whole lot more over 30 years. And so that's some of the pros and cons to look at of the 30-year loan. And then the 15-year loan, obviously, if you can afford the little bit more money, then you don't pay as much in interest over the $150, compared to the $150,000 loan that you took out. So that's just a look at the difference that can be made when you take a 30-year loan versus a 15-year loan when you're talking big numbers in a mortgage. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is adjustable rate mortgages. We will not get too deep into this. We're just going to use some approximations, but just to give you an idea, a fixed rate mortgage is advantageous because your monthly payment never changes. However, that poses a risk to the lender, because imagine if you take out a 30-year loan, $100,000 for some bank at 4% interest. Okay, initially the loan may seem to be a good deal for this bank, but suppose that 2 years later the interest rises to 5%. So now they've got a 4% loan out there, but that loan could have a 5% interest, so that money, they could be making more money on that loan, but they've already sent it out to you at a fixed rate. So they're potentially losing money on that money they loaned out to you. If they were to loan it to someone else at the 5% going rate at that point in time. But however, they're kind of stuck at 4%. So in this case, our bank, called Great Bank, loses potential future income if the rates rise on the fixed term loan. Now, the opposite is true as well. If interest rates lower, then the bank is going to be making more money, and it actually hurts you more than the bank if it goes lower. So the fixed rate, you lock it in at that rate, and you're there for the entire duration of the loan. So it's very safe, because you know exactly what you're getting into for the whole term of the loan. Now, if we kind of change the scenario, the lenders can lessen the risk of the rising interest rates by charging higher rates for longer terms. Okay, that's one reason why a 30-year loan is generally higher interest rate than the 15-year loan. But even lower risk strategies for lender, a lower risk strategy for lenders is what's called an adjustable rate mortgage, and these are ones you do have to do your homework on and be careful. You'll see it's brief, or it's shortened by the term ARM. And in this case, the interest rate you pay changes whenever the prevailing rates change. Now, because of this reduced long-term risk, the adjustable rate mortgage generally have much lower initial, I'll highlight that, interest rates than fixed rates. So for example, a bank offering a 4% rate on a fixed 30-year loan might offer an adjustable rate mortgage at 3%. And most of these adjustable rate mortgages guarantee their starting rates for like the first 6 months or the first year, but then after that, it'll move up or down depending on where rates are going. And so that's one thing. Your monthly payment does not stay the same. It can go up, it can go down. It depends on how the market is doing. Most of them have a rate cap that they can't exceed. So if you started out, at 3%, you may be promised that your rate will never go higher than 8%. But, the payment on a 3% versus an 8% is a drastic change and can really catch you by surprise and hurt you financially if you're not ready for it. So you do need to be cautious when you're going into these and know how things can change, because making this decision definitely will be one of the most important decisions you make in your life when you start to jump into a mortgage. So let's look at a basic example of an adjustable rate mortgage rate. We're going to use some approximations here. So you have the choice between a 30-year fixed loan at 4.5% and an adjustable rate mortgage where the first year is at 3%. So we're going to estimate the savings with the adjustable rate mortgage during the first year for $150,000. And then we're going to suppose that the adjustable rate increases to 6.5 at the start of the third year. So it holds 3% for 3 years. But then it's going to make this jump to 6.5%. We want to know approximately how much extra will you be paying over what you would have paid if you had just taken the fixed rate loan. Now, we're going to neglect all the compounding, the changes in principal, and all of this when we're trying to make this estimate. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. So one assumption we're going to make is that, again, that the principal does not change when we're doing this, because this can get really complicated really quickly. So that's going to be one thing that we're going to not worry about. So if we look at the fixed loan, okay, if we look at the fixed loan, the interest for that loan each year is going to be approximately the 4.5% times $150,000. Again, we're just making very basic assumptions here. So we're taking 4.5 of the original $150,000, which is $6,750, and this is for every 1 year. Then if we look at the adjustable rate mortgage, okay, the interest we're looking just at that first year again is approximately, making rough estimations here, 3% of the $150,000, which is, let's see here, $4,500 for every 1 year. So if we look at the difference for every year, the difference is $6,750 minus $4,500, which is $2,250. So that's the difference for every 1 year. And then we can look at, what's the difference per month. We can take 2250 and divide it by 12. So every month you're looking at a difference of approximately $187.50 per month of savings. And this is for the first 3 years before it changes. Now, when it changes though, so when the ARM goes up to 6.5%, when that change comes in, then our interest is going to be 0.065 times 150,000. I should have wrote right here 187.50. This is in savings. For those first 3 years per month. Again, 0.065 times $150,000 is $9,750 per year. So now what happens is, notice we are paying now more than we were for the fixed rate. We're paying $3,000 more. So again, if we look at the difference there, 9,750 minus 6,750, this is $3,000 more. And if you take $3,000 and divide it by 12, then that's approximately $250 per month more. So that's more spending. So if you notice there, you went from a savings of $187.50 to having to spend $250 more. So you're over $400 in difference when it makes this jump. And that's where you have to be careful, and that can catch you off guard. And so there are savings in the beginning, but in the end, if that thing jumps up, you can end up paying quite a bit more. So you just have to be careful when you're making these decisions, and kind of know your facts before you jump into these. So we'll go ahead and end this video at this point. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I know this last question here was a little bit, I'll use the word sketchy, because we used some significant estimation, but it just gives you a very basic idea of the differences. These can be quite a bit more complex, and using an Excel sheet or something like that would be much more appropriate to come up with these. But this is just how you would estimate that.